welcome back to Winger Reviews and the return to the Halloween review series. So real quick, guys, I just want to say thank everyone that tuned into my first video, Halloween 1978. I got to say, watching the response from that video has been awesome. It's catching on more than I thought it would, with me being a kind of a brand new channel. And I think right now we're at 130 views. And I just want to take a moment to thank everybody for all the love, whether it's being on Facebook, on TikTok, especially on TikTok with my review series picture that gives the schedule right now over 15,000 views. That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I didn't see that coming. So I just want to keep it going, and I want to keep bringing these videos to you guys. So again, thank you for everybody that watched Halloween. Now, if you haven't seen that and you're just joining me now, right up here in the corner, I'm going to put a card where you can click on that video on Halloween, or at the end, there's actually going to be where you can go straight to that video. So just keep on tuning in. So now we're going to get into Halloween 2. So Halloween 2 was made back in 1981. It is actually a direct sequel to the original one. You could actually take this movie and watch it back to back with the original Halloween and get a one solid experience. Now, there is a lot of changes that came to this movie. John Carpenter did not return to direct it. I think it's directed by Rick Rosenthal. Now, John Carpenter had a hand in writing it, but he really didn't want to write a sequel for this, because he said that there's just no story there, that they told all the story that they wanted to tell in one, and he really had no interest in coming back for Halloween 2. And they pretty much had to force him by saying, hey, we're not going to give you your money if you don't come and make this movie. So they let him out of directing it, but he did write it along with Deborah Hill. I want to say somebody else kind of punched the script up, but the story follows the events that happened directly after the first one, with Dr. Loomis rushing in, saving Laurie, shooting Michael with 7 shots. Yeah, and when they retell the events of the first movie at the beginning, if you count the gunshots, he managed to squeeze out 7 shots out of a 6-round revolver. Somebody wasn't paying attention to what they were doing in editing, but I digress. Laurie's taken out on a gurney and taken to Haddonfield Memorial Hospital, where there's a bunch of people there, doctors, nurses, ambulance drivers, candy striper type people. And Michael, who somehow survived what happened at the end of Halloween 1, makes his way to Haddonfield Memorial, and then pretty much in short order, he wipes out everybody. He hits the security guard in the head with a hammer. He takes one nurse and puts an IV in her arm and makes her bleed out. He takes a syringe and sticks it in the doctor's eye. Takes another syringe, puts it in one of the candy striper's head, causes an embolism in her brain to kill her. And one woman, he actually takes and puts her face in scalding hot water and pretty much burns her plus drowns her. And just, man, it's just so much. They juiced up everything. If you thought that Halloween 1 was very reserved, Halloween 2 is like on crack, essentially. So let's get into the pros, and we'll get into the pros and get into the cons. The score is still king. The score still brings that tension when you hear the classic score, which they jazz up the classic ding, 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 ding. They jazz that up just a little bit. I noticed a difference where it doesn't sound like the original, and I like that, because you don't want to redo everything that you did before in the first one with the score. Now, the piano strikes when Michael is starting to chase Laurie. That is pretty prevalent, and it stays the exact same from the first movie. But man, that don't even matter. So the other pro is there's a lot of gore score in this movie. Yeah, that's going to be my new name for Blood and Guts, is the gore score. Um, the gore score is off the charts. I mean, the first kill that he gets is when he gets into that girl's home. She's talking, I think, her mom about what happened. She hears something. She goes. Michael just pops up right beside her, almost like a cat, stabs her in the chest, and you just see blood go everywhere. Awesome. Then, of course, you have the girl that gets bled out. There's just that blood. You have the guy that's in love with Laurie slip and fall and give himself a concussion. And for some reason, even though I've seen this movie quite a few times, I can never remember what happens to him after he falls. I remember now he eventually tries to escape with Laurie. He's got a concussion and he falls asleep, which is can be an almost death sentence if you have a concussion. They tell you, as somebody that's had one before, they tell you do not fall asleep at all. It's the worst thing you could do if you have a concussion. And man, it's just you see a guy get his throat cut and everything, um, and it's just crazy, and I love it. It's the gore score. It's nice. It's bloody. Um, this is also to move it on from the pros before we hit to the cons. This is also the movie where they introduce the family plot line, where they reveal, and but Laurie doesn't know that Laurie Strode is Michael Myers' sister. Now, if that movie were to happen today, if Halloween was a fresh franchise, you know, 3 years ago, the first one comes out, and then 3 years later, this comes out and they revealed that, I think that movie today, by today's standards, would get crucified for taking something, adding it on to make the first to reframe the first one. Um, I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the family storyline. I'm not. As we get through these movies, they become more ridiculous as time goes on, and especially when the Thorn's introduced. But that's another problem for another couple weeks now, or maybe a two. Yeah, no, next week. That'll be a problem for next week. But they introduced that here. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, well, and they mentioned it in the first one. Now, if you think that they mentioned it in the first one, that is actually reshot footage that was reshot for Halloween 2 to put in the TV version of the first one. So it was never planned for Michael and Laurie to be brother and sister. And they do the one thing that I hate when some of these movies want to have sequels is they kind of have to tell you how the biscuits are made, and I don't care about Michael's motive. That's what makes the first one so great is he doesn't have a motive. You think he just happened upon these girls from them yelling at him when he's driving by, and he decides to go and screw them up. And this one gives him a motive. I mean, it don't run the movie, but I don't care for it at all. But is what it is. Can't change it. Um, so now let's get into my cons. And unfortunately for this one, there is a lot more cons in this movie than there was the first one. The first one's going to be sidelining Laurie Strode. I mean, you watch her as she fights Michael, and while she does fight Michael, not a lot of physical things really happen to her. She gets cut in the arm when Michael stabs her, and I think she gets a cut on her other hand, but you don't see her take a lot of big falls or anything like that. But in the second movie, they just make it look like she's barely clinging to life, and I'm just like, man, that don't make no sense to me. It felt like that they just put her in a hospital bed and took her from being this badass survivor that's in the first one and make her being pretty much a damsel in distress waiting for Loomis to come and save her again, but even more so this time. And I think that's a big con. I think it should have been Laurie fighting tooth and nail and throughout the whole movie, and they didn't. They put her in a hospital bed for the biggest part of it. They kind of make the same mistake in Halloween Kills, as we'll get to about a month or so from now. But it's your best character, and you're going to put her in a bed. And I personally don't like it. I already covered the lack of continuity, the 7 shots in there. Now, there's a scene that it just struck me as odd. It's at the beginning of the movie. It's right after Loomis is looking for Michael and him and Brackett. Who the guy that plays Brackett it's apparently the same actor, but he looks totally different than what he looked like in the first one. Looked like he had lost some weight, because for a minute I'm like, did they recast Sheriff Brackett? It's like, I know the original sheriff, the guy that plays Sheriff Brackett's in Halloween Kills, but I'm like, for this one, did they recast him? No. I looked on IMDb. It's actually the same guy. So I guess he just lost some weight, and obviously, the 3 years passed between the 2 movies. But when they get out and they think they found Michael, and it's really the guy named Bryn Tramer. He's actually the guy that the girls mentioned in the previous movie, which they got that continuity right. But they start running after him, and he runs into the middle of the street, and this police officer just out of nowhere just creams him, runs him into this truck that explodes. And it's almost like Loomis and Brackett care about what happened to that guy for like 2 seconds. What now? Granted, Brackett's understandable. He literally just finds out his daughter died, but the fact that not just Loomis and Brackett leave, but everybody leaves while this kid just burns to death on pinned to this car. Just stupid. It's unrealistic. And speaking of unrealistic, the ending. Not the part where they explode the room and kill Michael. That's very realistic, obviously, because it's pure oxygen and you light it on fire, kaboom. But I hate the fact that Michael gets his eyes shot out. Those bullets, either his eyes are the strongest eyes in the world, or those bullets are the weakest bullets in the world. Because if you shoot anybody else point blank range, not in just one eye, you don't even have to get him in 2. If you shoot him in just one eye, ball game, game's over. There's no more playing. You're dead. And he survives 1, but 2, and the worst he can do is swipe. And I caught that. And I've seen this movie before, but I'm kind of watching these movies now with like a fresh lens, or a new lens. And I'm just watching it. I'm just like, there's no way he survives that. And I know they hint towards the supernatural, and they actually don't bring the actual supernatural part into it later. But still, they could have gone without that. I would have had them go after Loomis after he stabbed him, pick Loomis up like he's going to finish him off, kind of like what Michael does in the zombie verse when Michael grabs him and punches out his eyes. Do something similar, and then you could have Laurie blindside him and hook his eyes, and then make it at least somewhat realistic. But shooting in point blank range twice in the eyes doesn't do it for me. Doesn't do it for me at all. So let's get to my favorite kill. That's my reoccurring segment we got on here. Got my favorite kill for this one is the Jill kill. It's the Jill kill. Now, which one is the Jill kill? That is the one where this Nurse Jill, is running down the hallway to get to Laurie. Michael swings up behind her, stabs her in the back, and then lifts her up into the sky. And she just kind of stands there freaking out and then just dies. I think that's the best kill in the entire movie. The best kill. So now we move on to the ending, the verdict. So what is the verdict? Well, I'm going to disappoint some people here. I'm going to give this film a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's not a welcome to the nightmare. It's now we're getting somewhere. It's clearly above average, and there's some darn good stuff here, but there's also some holes. So there it is. So thank you guys for joining me on Halloween 2, the review. And next we have Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. And I'm looking forward to this one because that's a movie that I didn't see it for the first time until like 2-3 years ago. And I think I'm going to shock some people in what I got to say about this movie. So, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to follow me on all my socials. Just go to any type of social media, type in Winger Reviews. You're sure to see me there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell. Hit that bell. That way you know when I post a new video. Like I said, we got 2 of these videos coming every week. Plus, we got 2026 movie reviews. And I'm not going to go back through and review the ones that I've already done or the ones that I've seen this year and I haven't done. But starting forward, you're going to see more reviews out of me on YouTube. I want to build this thing and I need your guys' help to do it. Tell your friends. If every person that watches this video brings 1 friend, we double the view count. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Halloween 2. Go watch the movie. Own it. It's a good movie. I got my issues with it, but it's still a darn good movie. Go out and see it. And we'll see you guys here soon for Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So just remember, it's movies, nightmares, no mercy. Have a good day, everyone.